Hello. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, you guys. Let's see if it comes back. This is what happens. I tried to find something on the phone. I shouldn't have done that. I wonder if I can find it. Hello. Welcome back. Sorry. I messed up. It told me I had reconnected, and obviously I had not. I sat in one place for too long. You're right. I should get up and walk away. I tried to be better prepared tonight, okay? Forgive me. My goodness. I actually had all my teas and cups and bug sprays and things on before. Hmm. Anyhow, got me bad. There. Got me real bad. Man, I had some point I was going to make too, and now I don't remember what it was. I'm sure it was probably really eloquent and would explain how to solve all our problems, but oh well. Be a good steward of what you have, because you never know how long you'll have it. Hey, since we restarted the live streams, I mean, I get to go for an hour again? I'd like to tell you a little bit about this weekend, what we do have going on. I, I am grateful to live in America. Oh, I remember what it was going to be. There. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to the government for letting me live here. Please don't send the FBI to my house. And, uh, um, yeah, there you go. Liberty License said the world has fallen, but we're in good hands or something like that. Something awesome like that. Um, Doggone it, you kicked it right out of my head. No, now I remember. Okay, so the picture I was looking for um, it was something ragging on Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas because he said something along the lines of that the was created using fetal stem cells. And I kid you not, they were excoriating him for this. And they said it had been debunked. And they said something along the lines, they had this paragraph, that while fetal stem cells were used in the early stages to check its efficacy, that they were from voluntarily aborted fetuses. And the cells had replicated a whole bunch of times, so it wasn't fetal stem cells. There. And it, I kid you not, that they thought they made a good point, apparently, with that, by saying that they had used fetal stem cells, but it was a long time ago, and they've replicated the cells. Well, where did the cells come from? They came from babies, okay? But because it was a long time ago and they replicated those cells a whole bunch of times, it didn't count. Now, I don't know about you, but I have never heard anybody on the conservative camp of things say that they could not take the because it had original cells from one they just harvested yesterday. Never, right? They used fetal stem cells. I don't care how many times that you've duplicated those cells, you would not have those cells. Liberty, I think it was either late 60s or early 70s, but the point remains that that's where they got the cells, and then they replicated them a whole bunch of times. Well, of course they did. But you wouldn't have those to test the things on if you didn't kill the babies. But they literally had an entire article about how that's not true because they've replicated a bunch of times. That's not even close to logical. No, but this is the type of thing that we're having to attempt to have logical arguments with. So I saw an article the other day that California had like an atomic clock. You remember, the doomsday clock that used to be real big in the 50s and 60s, for when California was going to secede from the nation because they just couldn't handle it. And I thought, well, I mean, save us the trouble. If all the liberal states want to go ahead and just do their own thing, I don't think anybody's going to pick up arms to keep them. Go be free. Godspeed. Live your abominations. I'd rather not get hit with the fire and brimstone because I'm associated. It's not too late. We serve a merciful God. You can come back. It's interesting. I've been reading in Ezekiel. And Ezekiel is full of judgments, right? And he proclaims things against Egypt, the prince of Tyre, Babylon, obviously the Israel, and he's proclaiming these things, and he's proclaiming, and it's all, yes, Belt Loop. There are some missionaries in liberal states. Lot lived in Sodom and Gomorrah, but almost every chapter starts with, "Thus says the Lord," and nearly every chapter starts with, "And so they will know that I am the Lord." And there's almost always something about if they would turn from their evil ways, or that other nations will know that I am God because he kept his word. So that is what's going on, I think here, is we're going to know he's God one way or another, whether whether you do it because of you recognize where the blessings and or judgments are coming from, or because you get taken out and wake up on the other side and realize what's true. Anyhow, I am glad that I have independence from a corrupt and lost soul. That's truly independence. I am truly grateful that I am free to be a slave to Christ instead of a slave to my own sin, that I have the option when I wake up in the morning to say, this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. That's real freedom. The rest of it is trappings. It really is. So let's not get too bent out of shape about the fact that evil governments are evil, and that's all they can be because they're run by evil people. So, yeah. So this weekend, if I could share some independent celebration that we're going to be doing with you. Well, we'll be doing. You won't be here. Sad. We have at least 3, maybe. Liberty Not Licensed says you kind of resemble a bondservant. You got that right, my friend. Bought with a price. We have at least 3, maybe 4 families coming over, and a couple of young single fellas who are doing their best to walk in the right way. And after church on Sunday, we're going to come home, take us a little siesta, as Sundays are made for naps. And then that evening, they're going to come over, and we're going to have a big cookout and enjoy the provisions that we still have. And then later that evening, there will be some aerial freedom units that will be dispensed with in a totally not reckless and safe manner. If you see a video next week and I'm like, hey, you'll know what happened. But we're going to light off, I'm sorry, freedom units will fly tomorrow evening, fairly late, and as you guys know, yes, Lot's compromise cost him his family. That's right, Janet. And Green Acres says any entity that places itself between God and man and the power dynamic is inherently evil. That's right. You shall have no other gods before me is the first commandment. And boy, I tell you, there are some people that have placed some faith in government like it's God that is just, it's horrifying. And I just don't understand how people think that big government is better than, big corporations. That people in power typically are evil. So, yeah, it's strange. And I think something we've messed up on the conservative side of things, if I can backtrack just a little bit, is freedom is dangerous. Freedom is dangerous. One of the reasons that people lost so much during the Great Depression was because banks were not insured by the federal government. And so bankers took the money that people gave them, and instead of actually, putting it in the safe, they would go ahead and, use it to invest in other things. And so they started investing with other people's money. And when they lost that money, they were insolvent. And since there was no insurance policy or no laws that said, you must keep X amount in the bank or you must keep whatever, then, you could have put all of your savings in the bank for multiple generations and had, $1 million, $2 million in the 20s and 30s sitting in the bank. And when that bank went out, you had nothing. There was no recourse. It was over. So it's interesting that, now we have that. So there was no law on it. But now we have the banks and the federal government that are so deeply intertwined and deeply in bed together that they are using, the federal government to make money. So we have gone so far in the other extreme. There's always a balance to be had, and we always seem to mess it up. But freedom is dangerous. The right to own and bear arms is dangerous. But the more dangerous thing is out of control governments. Governments have killed way more people throughout history than individuals ever dreamed of doing. I mean, just look through history and pick a government and see how many people they've killed. You think ours will be the exception if we hand over their, our firearms? No, absolutely not. Freedom is dangerous. So having the right to do things without a safety net is dangerous, but not as dangerous as the alternative. That's my opinion. Yeah, Carolyn says that's why some people kept their money under the mattress, and I agree with them. Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm purchasing things that invest in myself and that I can create food with. I'm trying to invest in myself and in my kids' future and take worthless paper money and turn it into something that, well, I can eat. So I think we have treated freedom like sunshine and roses and puppy dogs and some fluffy little cute thing. It's not. Freedom is reckless. Freedom is dangerous. But again, way fewer people killed by people exercising their freedom or died because there was no federal agency to tell something not to make this thing a certain way. And that's not to sound heartless. Life is sacred and precious, so I am not poo-pooing that people die. I just don't think we have weighed the cost versus out of control government. Anyways. Concentration camps weren't done by individuals, they were done by governments. The deliberate starvation of millions of people in Russia was done by governments. Chairman Mao, Cambodia. You think our government hasn't killed people? I mean, we injected people with stuff to experiment on them, for Pete's sake. Look at all the wars we've been involved with for half a century. And, just because it's a drone dropping the bomb doesn't mean we're not killing folk. So anyways, freedom is dangerous, but I wouldn't have it any other way. There's a line from the Chronicles of Narnia where they ask, I think it was Lucy and Edmund or some of the kids were going to see Aslan. And they asked if he was safe. And the person goes, no, he's not safe at all. But he's good. That's what freedom is. Freedom isn't safe, but freedom in and of itself is good. Yeah, Greene County says, the great teacher says, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and render unto God that which is God's. So, Liberty Not Licensed says, those who have yet to be completed by his presence inside them are still seeking him, even if they don't realize it, and will try and fill that terrible void with the lust of the eyes, and the flesh, and the pride of life. You have got that right, my friend. Indeed. We, Greene County, the early church made camp outside of the cities to be free of the government so they could live under God's law and God's kingdom. They also knew that 70 AD was coming. So depending on which part of, the millennium you fall on and what type of theology, whether it's dispensational covenant or not, when they were talking about the destruction of Israel and stuff, it is one of the interpretations is they knew that destruction was coming in 70 AD. So when they were telling them to sell all they had and everything else, it's because the destruction was coming. And everything they had was going to be wiped out anyways. I don't know that it was necessarily the model for all future generations, but it might be. Welcome back, Mindy. We missed you. I'm sorry. I tried to find a thing and I messed up the live stream. So Liberty says, a friend of mine pointed out this morning that we have no moral position to condemn Hitler, Stalin, or Mao for the millions they murdered because of the 64 million babies during Roe. Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why we're under judgment. which is why we are deliberately seeing this nation destroyed from the top down. Quite frankly, I mean, if you wanted to wreck a country, if you just think, and I know it's uber simplistic, but if you think of your house and how you run your house, right? So you don't spend more than you can make. You should have food, and you should have energy. Just right. We can get into the spiritual aspect of things later, but if you wanted a secure household, right? You have, I mean, shelter and stuff, but literally, you don't spend more than you can make, because then you're in debt and you owe people, and whoever you owe, you're a slave to. You want to make sure that you can have food, right? Feed yourself, feed your family, feed your kids. And you want to have the lights on. You want to have, diesel for your tractors or whatever. And if it works on the home scale, it will work for a county. And if it works for a county, it'll work for a state. And if it works for a state, then you can bet your britches it would work for the federal government. But we are doing the opposite of all of those things, which makes it literally makes zero sense. But there's a verse in Proverbs, and I don't remember what it is right off the top, so you'll forgive me for quoting it without proper reference. But it says, when you leave wisdom, wisdom leaves you. And our leaders left wisdom years and decades ago. And sooner or later, you can't govern wisely without the Lord. And when you not only exclude the Lord, but run toward evil and call evil good, this is what we're in for. So, but hopefully we will be like the Israelites in Egypt, and it will all wash around us, and we will put hyssop on our doorposts, figuratively speaking, and the blood of the Lamb, and let the angel of death pass over. Yeah, so we're going to have some people come. They're going to spend the night on Sunday night, enjoy the third with us, and they will leave probably Monday morning after breakfast, but we're going to have a nice big camp out and just have a really enjoyable time while we still have these types of freedoms that we can exercise. So I have not worked on any videos. I'm still mulling over that Depression era mindset one. I really think in order to survive the next 10 years or so, we're going to have that type of mindset, where just because it's still in the store doesn't mean we should buy it. And I'm talking about food. And not like nourishment you have to eat to live food. I'm talking about like the things that we like and actually add some pleasure to life. And I really like to eat a variety of foods. But we might have to flip gears on that and start looking at eating extremely inexpensively as best we can and putting up food. My sister lives in a regular little suburban house in Delaware, and she has some small gardens in her backyard. Nothing crazy, but she has been canning like a fiend here in the past month or so, and she is putting up a boatload of food. And she is also going to the store and buying food that they have while they can still afford it and while it's still cheap, and canning it, in situ. Susie, hey Suze, welcome. And so she's going to have food for the winter, maybe the winter of this economy, if you will, because of what she's doing. So it might make sense for us to start canning food from the store, which might not be as healthy and as nutritious and as all blah, blah, blah things as if you could make it yourself, growing on organic rainbows and whatnot. But it's not a bad plan, guys. It's not a bad plan, because you can do it slowly while we still have food. I wasn't kidding about the thistles. I meant to bring out the book I just finished reading. If you guys get the chance, I don't know the author. I don't know anything about him. But I read a book about the Great Dust Bowl that was released, I think it was in 2005, called The Worst Hard Times. And they were talking about how the Dust Bowl hit, and the Dust Bowl was in large part caused by the federal government's policies. What is that, right? The government got involved in wheat prices and made wheat so valuable that they went from plowing like 10 million. There you go. Green County says, I've been cultivating edible thistles. They were actually a Russian thistle that came over from Russia. They weren't even a native. The tumbleweed is not native to the West. Isn't that crazy? But anyways, for like 4 or 5 years, after they couldn't plant anymore because the Depression hit and they ran out of money and all the topsoil was blown away, there were people that were still there living in dirt holes in the ground and eating canned thistles. Somehow they were still alive. Like it was unbelievable. But I had these journal excerpts that I had wanted to read for you, but I didn't have them. And it was like 3 years worth of this guy's life broken down into like a couple pages. And it was like every month he had this thing. Like he went out and measured the temperature at ground level in July one year, and it was 142 degrees where he was trying to get corn to grow. Just unbelievable. But they made it. Not everybody. I mean, some people starved to death, but not most of them. Most of them died from dust pneumonia. But while we still have food in the grocery stores, and while it's relatively inexpensive, I think we should be laying it up. And I don't just mean buying. She's making like potato soup and like full made meals, and putting those up into her pantry right now. So you don't have to live on acreage to be able to make it. Actually, my brother just sent me a link to a guy who was growing 7,000 pounds of food a year on a tenth of an acre. So it's possible. But yeah, right now we need to be focused on putting that food up. So we have reduced our grocery bill by almost $300 a month, in part because of what we're doing here, but also in large part because we've just changed the way we eat. We can still technically afford it to eat the food we were eating before. But I tell you, I don't think I've had beef. Eat more chicken in probably a couple months. Now it's my birthday this month, and normally on my birthday we have a steak. So I plan on having a steak this month. And my mom's coming to visit on my birthday, so we're obviously going to have a steak with my mother. But yeah, there are ways we can cut down and cut back and make this money stretch so that we can invest it into ourselves, so we can invest it into potentially growing food or canning or, you know, whatever makes your life better. So thanks, Belt Loop. It's going to be later this month, near the end of the month, but I'll be the big 4-0.
Maybe finally I will have plenty of wisdom to dispense with people.
Anyhow, it is a beautiful evening out here, guys. You want to pan? Do you mind if I pan you around real quick so you can see just this lovely evening? I'm in a little thoroughfare, right? So we have our crop garden back here, as we call it, and just behind you is the golf cart. But that is our kitchen garden back there. And so back there is one of the potential viewing areas for Freedom units that will be exercised later. Beep. So this is all the corn. We did 2 plantings of corn because we weren't sure how much was going to come up, how much we were going to get out of it. And so we didn't want to have so much corn showing up all of a sudden that we couldn't process it. So the corn goes from right about there, right there, over to about here. And then we have our second layer of corn, which we planted about 2 weeks later. And it's about the same size. So there's our second row, or little thatch of corn. The grass in there has been amazing. It has come up unbelievably well. So you can see the height difference, I think. I don't have any idea, Belt Loop, what kind of corn it is. My wife plants it. I told you guys, I don't know. I'm assuming it's a sweet corn of some sort. But what's really beautiful is look out there. You see that? Just the open field, the sunlight streaming through it. It's just so pretty. My lawnmower. That's where we're gonna launch some Freedom units. I mowed a couple places out here. We also moved our chicken tractors out into the field, so we might as well go look at the beautiful chicken tractors. Look at this sunset though. Isn't this amazing? I'm telling you, it's worth the drive, the hour and 10-minute drive to go to work, to live out here. The grass is all thick. This is where those chicken tractors were that I was showing you in the video. So the only difference between that grass and the grass right next to it is the chicken tractors went through there. We had, I'm sorry, Integrity, I don't mean to covet. Don't mean to cause, we had 4 chickens that escaped our butchering day. So they are still running around I haven't harvested them yet. And then our neighbor, this is going to be in the depression area video, so you'll have to promise to still watch it. Our neighbor gave us 6, I think they're Rhode Island Reds that weren't laying anymore. And he's like, here you go, you want them? And I took them. They're probably 3 or 4 years old because they're currently going through, what's up, piggies? They're currently going through the field for me. But they will also make food. Even if it's not the most tenderest, newest, nicest food, it's still food. So, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Pig, pig, pig. Hi, Sally. Hi, Sally. I know, it's Pork and Dork. Where's Boromir? Huh? Where's Boromir? Those pigs are so fun. Uh-oh. Oh, he's okay. Whew! He was laying down, maybe nervous. Don't eat my toes. You're okay. You're okay. So we got the chicken tractors going through over here. And so we put those old bitty hens. Boromir is the boar, so he is going to make the ladies, Sally's babies with her. So this rooster is one of the ones that's escaped, but he thinks, yes, corn is a grass. A genetically modified grass. But anyways, he has gotten out. He's one of the 4. So, but we've got the little kids over there. They're the ones that we hatched out ourselves. And then those are the 6 that are just old ladies. And we've already moved them 4 or 5 times through the field. This is the field that was full of oats. We mowed that second one down. The third one has the cows in it right now. So it's just a beautiful evening here. I should take a shower. My hair's all greasy. Why didn't y'all tell me my hair was greasy? Anyhow, I hope you guys have a wonderful Independence Day weekend. I hope you have time with family. And as I'm sure most of you already know, as you have already said, our independence is our independence from hell. It is not an independence of self-governance or, you know, what the federal government or states let us do. That's not where the freedom's at. The freedom is through faith in Jesus Christ our Lord. And that's it. End of story. Full stop. Y'all like Queen Anne's lace? I have 2 beef cows, Carolyn. Haven't you seen my beef cows? Oh my gosh. Well, I was gonna end. Now I gotta show Carolyn my beef cows. We'll walk back. They're right over here. They're actually out right now. Their names are Skipper and Gilligan. Don't you remember? Oh, I don't know if you saw it. I did a live stream when they were in the training pen. Man, they're way over there too. Gonna make me get my steps in. I have a heart condition, Carolyn. This is bad for me. Oh, I need to process them. Not yet. They're too little. What? What? You're okay. Is it because I didn't pet you long enough? They're like dogs, man. It is so fun. All right, let's see if we're close enough. This is where the epic grain video happened. Liberty says, this is great. Thanks for letting us know how you're doing. Hope you have an amazing 4th and hope David the Good visits soon. Me too, man. He needs to see this place. See if I can get through here without getting shocked. Ooh, okay. There, now you can see him. There's our 2 beef cows. Yep, Gilligan and Skipper. But they're not going to be ready for quite a while. Man, I was trying to crawl under this fence the other day and it hit my back and my elbows just collapsed. Like I just completely wiped out because it was completely involuntary. It was quite a feeling. Not a pleasant one either. Anyhow, y'all, like I said, we have some things going on this evening, so I'm gonna have to go. Say goodbye, Sally. Say goodbye. God bless you all. Thank you for joining us this evening. I hope to have a video out in a couple days. We'll see how it goes. It's just been kind of one of those weeks. So you guys take it easy. God bless.